right. Howdy. Some coffee for you there. All right, so today is going to be the first video for the Grimlock engine, and this is my newest project I'm working on. It's basically let me just throw up a formation so you can see what I'm talking about. It's basically 7-on-7 football. You'll see in a second why you got to air quote that. But kind of like Desktop Dynasties, only the flexibility and the technology in this engine has been amped up a ton. First thing you're going to notice, like, why are these little cylinders instead of these little pills instead of actual players? The short answer is because it's a lot easier to debug when you're not distracted by models and animation and things like that. And I'm at the point in the engine right now where the engine works pretty good. We're fine tuning, debugging, mostly fine tuning the AI. And what I've been finding is the AI is a lot easier to fine tune when everybody's like a little pill, and I don't have to think, all right, well, why is that model look like that? Why is that animation looking like that? Like, it's just a lot less distracting for AI tuning. So that's why we're like this. But the other reason is because the Grimlock engine is meant to support things like this. Variable player size and variable player, height and width. And what I mean by that is, it looks like there's a debug thing, right? My the size is off there. This running back thing shouldn't be out of there. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. It's like this. Look at this linebacker. Make sure you can see my... Yep, you can see it. Okay. This linebacker, how big he is. And you can see these offensive linemen are slightly bigger than everybody else. That's another thing that this engine is going to... it's going to be designed with player size in mind. And the idea is, I not only... In Desktop Dynasties, things were... The engine was basically built around speed. Anybody who played that game or watched any of the videos for that game knows that speed killed. The game was 100% about how fast does the player run and how fast does the player make decisions. It's speed first. Strength kind of became important just for like blocking and rushing and things like that. Some other kind of calculations were small fries. But basically, it was how fast do you run and how fast do you make decisions. So I took that and I started thinking, well, first of all, I started thinking I want to make a football game that's not football. Like, I want it to be more interesting than what we've seen in football games. So I kind of went back to the old Mutant League games and Cyberball games and thought, well, what makes these interesting? And what I had found, at least for the Cyberball game, what made it interesting was... one, investing money in upgrading your robots was actually really fun. So that's something I want to explore a little bit. It's going to be, because most football games, it's about drafting, it's about signing players to contracts or recruiting, right? It's all about convincing the player to be on your team until he doesn't want to be on your team anymore, until you trade him and then you move him on. Like, while still fun, I feel like there's more to do. There's more interesting ways to manage your team than the things that you do because they're humans. So if they're robots, that's like buying upgrades and adding new modules. I think that could be really fun. For like Mutant League, if these things are creatures and not humans and not robots, you can talk about things like training or growing or, genetic manipulation. Like, just combining two different monsters to make another monster. Like, there's all kinds of other things you could do. Buying and selling. There's just a lot of other interesting things you can do. All right, well, that's cool. What's the other cool thing that you can get away with when you're doing robots and monsters is you can greatly exaggerate the differences between the players. And the thing that I've kind of chosen to explore first is size. So you could think of this middle linebacker as like in I think it's Chaos Bowl. Like each of the different factions has like their monstrous unit or like their champion, whatever. It's like a unit that is intended to be like the boss unit for that team, like the boss monster for that team. It's usually a guy, he's stronger, he's bigger, or he's faster, or he's really skilled, but somebody who stands out. And I want to build this engine in a way that we can have those units. Not only can you have like your offensive linemen are just generally bigger than your regular players. Well, what if you have a monstrous unit like on your defense? Like maybe if we're, let's say we're I don't know, we're like, I don't know, the demon team, right? Say the defense is the demon team. Maybe this guy here is just like a monstrous, like fire golem or something. I don't know, just something huge. And then when you're playing the game, like you have to somehow deal with the fact that there's this player on the field that's more than twice as big as everybody else. I think that could be really cool. If you have him on your team, you got to figure out, all right, how do I get the most out of this monstrous player? Do I like have him just demolish the line? Do I have him drop back in coverage and eat up a huge portion of the field? You know, do I have maybe this monstrous unit is actually pretty fast? Maybe I have him as a blitzer. Who knows, right? Maybe this monstrous unit may be really tall, but he's really weak, but he's really fast. So he'd be like the ultimate safety or something. So things like that. I want to explore like how does the game of football change when you start playing around with things like size? I think is going to be cool. The other thing I'm going to play around with is like each different faction is going to have their own pluses and minuses. Like there'll be, you know, the small, fast guys. There'll be the really strong, slow guys. There might be the really big guys. There might be the guys who are super skilled. And we're going to play around with that. So that's what this engine is being built for. It's to mess around with all these things that you don't normally get to mess around with in a football game, and then see how they affect the game of football. We're going 7-on-7 just to make we're highlighting the importance of the individual players. 11-on-11, there's just too many players on the field, so any one player doesn't really stand out that much. You get down to 7-on-7, individual. There's still enough players on the field that in fact, let me just load up an actual play so you can kind of see. You can see there's enough players on the field so that you can have a play style, right? That's first the most important. So like maybe this team is a 4 wide. That team is going to play significantly different than this team, who has a tight end and 2 running backs. So there's enough players on the field that you can have differences in style. Whereas like I think even Cyberball and Mutant Football League had 6 players per side, and there weren't quite enough players to really develop team styles. I think that one extra player to go from 6 to 7 allows you to have kind of make team styles more important. But once you go to like 8 or 9 players, the individual impact of each player starts to diminish. So I feel like 7 is a sweet spot for flexibility, players play style versus impact of individual players. So that's why this many players. Other than that, the roles are going to kind of be the same as like regular football. You know, there's going to be pass blockers, run blockers, blitz, zone, man, like just all the things that we're used to. And that's going to be that way, just so that you know we can actually see a game of football being reasonably simulated with all these other cool things we're going to add. All right. So that's kind of the background of the Grimlock engine. Why do I call it the Grimlock engine? Look it up. Grimlock is a character. It's kind of a mishmash of you'll notice. I won't explicitly spell it out, but Grimlock kind of represents the mishmash of the two things I'm trying to write this engine for. I gotta keep some mystery, right? So anyway, so that was kind of an intro to the Grimlock engine. Development of this is going to be in the Play Creator. I don't know, just for people who haven't followed my process when I did the original Desktop Dynasties, and then the Iverson engine, and then the HUD Coach engine, and then like the Dodge, like all these engines I do, I've learned that my process works really well to develop the engine in the Play Creator, because the Play Creator is kind of, see, I can run this play. The Play Creator, think of it as the test lab for anything I want to do. It's really easy for me to try things in the Play Creator. Because I can just do things like, oh, well, what happens if I roll the quarterback out here and then run this play, right? It's really easy for me to try these things out in the Play Creator, and then double check my, oh, nobody can tackle the quarterback, that's great, and then check out the AI and just make sure that I don't have any bugs and things like that. So that's why we'll use this screen to do all the testing and refinement, just because it works really easy and it's really fast to try things out. We're going to use the pills for a while until the goal here is I want to use the pill shapes until we think the AI is pretty solid, or at least the AI has gone as far as we can go with the pills. Then what we'll do is we'll start adding models. We'll probably start with one of the sides as a specific group of models. So like maybe we'll do the undead as the offense or something like that. And what we'll try to do is we'll try to build the animation controller. So we'll try to combine the models to make sure the model sizing's right and that it looks good. We're going to mix in the animation controller and just see if we can get the animations to blend right and make sure that we're not overdoing it with animations, but also make sure it doesn't look like crap. And then we're going to try to generate a standard animation control system. So we'll probably work with one team for quite a while, and the other one maybe pills, or maybe just the same team, just to see how it looks on defense. Until we get that, and then we'll start just introducing more models and more animations. So it's going to be pretty basic for a while until, like, AI first. Probably joystick control will probably be part of this AI section. Then we're going to go models, animation, and once all that's working, or at least close to working, we'll start building the league stuff on top of that. But for the most part, until the Grimlock engine is just rock solid, we're going to be doing this in the Play Creator. Alright, so that's all the background. I was going to do some debugging today, but I don't want this video to be super long. I think one of the things anybody who's watched any of my videos over the last 2-3 years knows I get long-winded. My videos almost always end up being an hour. I'm really going to try to keep them under 20 minutes each. Even for me, watching an hour-long video takes forever. Well, an hour, right? But it gets... I have a hard time paying attention to myself for an hour. So what I'll try to do... I think what I'll do is... I can't find anybody open. Well, everybody's rated exactly the same right now, that's why. But I'm being random again, sorry. I'm going to try to keep these short. What we'll do is we'll test a very specific thing per video instead of just like going and me laying down a whole bunch of tape on a whole bunch of things. Like, we'll have a video on like run blocking. We'll have a video on screens. We'll have a video on quarterback reading receivers. Like, we'll try to have very specific videos. That'll also allow me to find them again later. One thing I've been trying to go back and watch some of my older videos because I'm looking for specific things. I can't find them. Like, my videos are so long and there's so much crap in them. Like, I can't find any of the stuff that I'm looking for. So I got to do a better job of having just topic specific videos, so at least I can go back and find them, because by the end of the development of this we're going to have dozens of these things. So we'll do that. I'll try to do that. I'll try to keep them short. I'll try not to ramble too much. What else? I think we're pretty locked in on the. Let me move my picture so you can see everything on there. I think we're pretty locked in on the options for the AI up here in the Play Designer. I've made some slight changes from previous versions on the defense. You just have a rush. There's no longer a pass rush versus run rush. I found it didn't make a lot of sense for me to force you to pick which kind of rush. I think now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let, so like if I pick D line 1 and I just hit rush, yeah, he's got to load up the defense, but he's just a rusher in the play. But when you actually play, so like I go prepare and then I go run, I don't have an offense. Dang it. Let's stop that. Let's load the first play. Prepare. Run. See, both these guys are doing pass rush. They're not doing run rush. What it's doing is the defensive linemen are picking what their best. They're picking between the two. There's a weighted random, whereas like if the pass rush he's twice as good as the run rush, he's going to pick pass rush like 90% of the time. If they're equal, it'll be about 50-50. But the player's going to choose what he's good at in the play, so you don't have to design that into your play. That just allows you to have, instead of having two plays that look like this, where one of them they're run rushing and one of them they're pass rushing, you don't have to worry about that anymore. So that's been stripped down. I've added the spy back in. So like some people might have remembered there was a spy at one point, and then I took it out because it said it looked too much like zone. But then now running quarterbacks got overpowered. I put it back in. So now there's a spy again, so we'll need some debugging on that. Other than that, zone, I've added the normal zone back in. That was out for a while. Let me see, delete. Normal zone, next node, there we go. My interface still needs some issues. See the normal zone, he's right in the middle. You can go under zone, where you position yourself underneath the zone. You go over zone, where you position yourself on top of the zone, and then there's the deep zone, which is just a, it's an over zone that goes on forever. So there's that. That's been upgraded a little bit. Everything else is kind of the same. I don't think I've made any other changes. So the rest of it, if you've seen the Play Creator before, it's all going to be very similar. Yeah, I think so. I'm still using the normal alternate for formations. We're going to keep that system. But other than that, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that'll work for now. So we'll stay tuned for next time. That's all we're going to do on this one. Just intro the whole thing and kind of talk about the strategy. Next time, I'll pick something to start looking at the AI. Probably run blocking. I've been working on that a lot lately. So it's probably going to be like run blocking. So be prepared for that. So until next time, see ya.